Welcome to Financial Confidence for High-Achieving Women, the go-to podcast for women of color entrepreneurs overwhelmed by their finances and ready to transform their money mindset, take control of their money, and build sustainable wealth. I'm your host, Taryn, better known as T-Money, certified financial coach and CEO of Money Honey LLC. I believe that abundance is your birthright and that good money management doesn't mean cutting out the joy from your life. Stick around to learn how you can build intentional money habits that align with your biggest lifestyle goals. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome to episode 22 of the Financial Confidence for High-Achieving Women podcast. I'm your host, Taryn, better known as T-Money, and today we're diving into something that's going to challenge you in the best way possible. In this episode, we're talking about how to save $2,000 in just 2 months. I know you may be thinking, T-Money, that sounds impossible without living on ramen noodles. But here's the thing. After helping hundreds of high-achieving women transform their financial habits and personally implementing these exact strategies to build my own emergency fund, I'm sharing all the realistic, lifestyle-friendly methods that actually work for busy professionals like us. Before we get into today's episode, if you're ready to take control of your finances like the rich bitch you are, I invite you to book a 90-minute Organize Your Money Honey intensive with me. You'll walk away with a crystal clear financial plan, a budget you'll actually stick to, and actionable steps to start saving and investing faster. Head to the link in the show notes to book your spot. What's up, y'all? Oh my gosh. Well, one, I just want to thank you for all of the love for the podcast so far. And I'm excited to get into this episode. This is honestly the thing that really kickstarted a lot of my financial journey. So this is something that's very special to me. And if you've happened to come across or have already downloaded the How to Save 2K in 2 Months guide, then this is really just going to allow you to get deeper into that. And I am so excited for that in particular. It's really going to be a good time. Okay, so we're going to kick it off with the strategic expense audit method. So this is where I'm going to help you to break down exactly how to identify and eliminate the invisible money drains that high achievers often overlook. So this is where we're going to get into the subscription services. Okay, this is my first thing on this. Okay, we want to look at your subscription services and see which ones you are actually using. This tends to be what people skip over or what they're not even necessarily conscious of, because we think I don't have that much, extra money to save, or I really want to save a higher amount each week or each month, but I don't know where it's going to come from. The subscription services are a great place to look. Rocket Money is really good for this, where they will actually set a separate category for you to see all of your subscriptions. And if you pay for the advanced service, they can also cancel them for you. But even if not, they'll just show you where all of your, what all your subscription costs are. So it's really helpful to use that tool. Otherwise, you can do it the old school way and just go through your transactions and see what subscriptions you're paying for month after month, and are you actually using them? Because if you haven't, the rule of thumb that I usually use with my clients is if you haven't used them in the last 3 months, then you're probably not going to use it. That would be a great opportunity to either put that subscription on pause or just go ahead and get rid of it altogether. Most of them you can always come back if you absolutely need to. Now, the next thing is convenience spending. So what are the things where it's just so easy for you to click to buy or to purchase without really thinking about it? So I know Amazon comes to mind a lot of the time, but any online shopping stuff where you have your card already saved into the program there makes it really easy to go ahead and get that spending on. And so you want to look at that too when you're going through your expenses to see like, okay, where am I getting into the convenient spending of it all? And then there's the lifestyle inflation. Okay. So when you start to have more money, sometimes you start to spend more money, and that's how it can kind of feel like you're not able to get ahead in a way. And so when you can also look at some of the expenses too and say, like, okay, where do I feel like I'm spending extra just because, I got a raise recently or I just got this bonus, and, where do I want to redirect this money? So where can you kind of, see where there are some leaks and money drains that you could then refocus into your savings goal. The other thing that I want to say is we're getting into this too is that like I often get the question about what account is best, and that I really do recommend a high yield savings account for your emergency fund or for any savings that's happening within like 1, 2, 3, or 5 years. And I know I talk about this in a previous episode that I will link to the show notes. Having the high yield savings account is going to allow you to receive higher interest than your typical savings account that's attached to a checking account at like a big bank usually. And this is where it's also important to make your savings hard to access so that way you won't spend it as freely, especially if you find that you're somebody who's like quick to make a little transfer over to cover some of the expenses. So my favorite high yield savings accounts right now are Ally, American Express, and Capital One. Now there are other ones. You can look them up and see which ones have that highest interest rate. I've been with Ally for like 8 years or so. So I really enjoy them. The other thing is with this, with saving, you want to get into that habit of paying yourself first. And so with this plan, as you start to work towards that 2002 months or whatever number you want to set it at, I like to say if you can get to saving 10% of your paycheck, that is ideal. However, that does not mean that it is an absolute like fail, we'll say, if you don't save the 10%. If you can start at 5, then start there. The biggest thing is starting where you can when it comes to the savings, and then actually automating this if possible, so that way you're not thinking about it or having to make the manual transfer. And so you can do that through a lot of employers. They'll allow you to like split your paycheck into percentages and send like a certain percentage to one account and then another percentage to like a savings account. You can do it that way. Or you can even set up like the automatic transfer in your direct bank account to make that happen. There's like a savings app that you can use too. So that is something like, you've probably heard of like Digit or Acorn or Simple. These will round up your purchase to the nearest dollar and save that for you. And so that's another way to kind of do that, where when you're making your regular purchases, you can start to put a little extra towards savings at the same time. Really having a budget, and I know I talk about budgeting a lot, it's so helpful. But you can also use that to go through and look at your different expenses, see what your income is really looking like. Maybe it's been a while since you've analyzed that. And so go through that and see what space you have to move into savings. So now the income acceleration fast track. So ways that you can boost your income in 60 days. So this is where I want you to start to think out of the box. And I love the activity that you just take a piece of paper, you write down 25 ways that you can be making some money, right? I remember first hearing that with in one of Rachel Rogers' programs, or I think it might have been in her book, but that has been so helpful. Anytime you're kind of feeling like maybe even stuck, or maybe like, how do I really create more money? That is a great exercise to do. And so think about like your network right now. Think about how maybe you can negotiate some rates or like a raise for your salary. Think about how you could possibly take on some strategic side projects to generate more income. Is there like a workshop that you can do and like monetize your expertise in that way? Is there some consulting? Like there's a good amount of people who would be decent and better than decent at consulting that, kind of hesitate to do that. But there's a lot of money available in that space. And then the other way that you want to look at it is optimizing your tax withholdings as well. This is one that I think we don't always look at. And there is a withholdings calculator on the IRS's website if you're in the US. And that is where you can also look at, are you withholding enough? Are you withholding too much or too little? So that way that can bring more money available to you. And so when you're focusing on you're increasing your income, I want you to think about like what you already have and what is available to you versus starting from scratch. And so lastly, we want to emphasize that you want to automate your saving system as much as possible. The way that you get to that $2,000 goal is like definitely through some of these strategies I told you about, but it's also about making it as easy as possible for yourself. And so when you have those automatic transfers, it kind of takes that extra thought process out of it. And then the other thing that I was just talking to a client about last week was that when you set up these transfers, and instead of doing the thing of like, let me save whatever is left over at the end of the month or right before the next paycheck, when you do this ahead of time, you really are more in control of the amount that you're saving versus like when you do it at the end, most of the time, whatever you see available in your account, once handle bills or whatever, you're probably like, okay, I can just spend this the way that I need to, the way that I want to. And when you take that money, you save it at the beginning, then the number that's left over is different, but you're still only going to spend based off of what is left over versus trying to scramble and collect what's left over to save. So really it is paying yourself first, but it's also making that number consistent for you. And, as busy, high achieving, high earning women, like micromanaging your money daily is really not something that I feel like we have the capacity for. And so you want to set it up and make it easy for you to do so. Now, a little bit of a story time about my own experience with, saving. And the reason why I called it, how to save 2,000 2 months is because that's what I did. Like I legitimately did that. And that's where I started. So now a lot of these same skills and these same, systems I use for my even larger savings goals. But the most important part is like I started there. I started with saving like $2 at a time. Then I was able to increase that to 10, then 20, and so on and so forth, right? And I went from feeling like I didn't have any extra money to save at the time to all of a sudden seeing my savings account grow exponentially because I was focused and intentional on putting my money where I want it to be. And I'm telling you, like, the more that you see that number increase in your account, like, the more excited you are to continue the habit of saving. And it really opened my eyes to what was possible for me. And it started to help build my confidence. Like, as I started to save this much, I was like, you know what? Maybe I can do this. And that was what inspired the travel savings account. Once I had that emergency savings in place, it was like a breath of fresh air. And then it was like, okay, what do I want to save for next? Where am I, like, what do I want to see in my life next? And it was really that simple. And I love seeing clients to like get to this spot where, there's that relief, that sense of like, okay, I can take on whatever comes next, like whatever happens, because I have this safety net in place and I have this system in place. Because even if even when, we'll say when, your emergency savings is filled up, when you save that 2K in 2 months, when you save the 10K in 2 months, when you save the 20K in like 3 months, whatever it is, right? When you do that, then you can say like, okay, I have the like even more freedom to focus on the other things that I want to see. And so something that I forgot to say earlier too is that as I was working on this goal, yes, we had a plan of this is this is the schedule that I'm following in terms of like, to really do that in the 2 months. It was like $250 per week, right? And that was something that felt like, okay, I can do this at the time. And then what also started to happen is as I became intentional with that, like, I've said this to y'all many times, but it's like once you start to focus, things start to happen that are in your favor. Like when you make the decision to go for something, then that's when like God, the universe, everything starts to bring you different clues and different steps for alignment to reach this goal. And so then I started to receive, extra money. Then I had more sales come in, so I was able to save more than the 250. And that's how it happened. So you can set that weekly deposit goal or that bi-monthly deposit goal of like what you want that savings deposit to be. And then you just start tossing extra additional money that comes your way at it. So that way you can reach it faster. Okay. So as we go ahead and recap, so remember that you want to start off with doing a strategic expense audit. So go through your subscriptions, go through where you're doing some convenient spending, lifestyle inflation, all of that. Then we want to start to accelerate your income. So just like I said, when I made those extra sales and things and I had additional money to add to the goal, that allows me to reach it faster. Same for you. So start to think about some ways that you can boost your income in 60 days too. And then we want to automate this system. So we want to pay ourselves first. We want to schedule those transfers so that way we're not having to think about it and just make it easy on ourselves. So our action step for this episode is I want you to choose a day to start, and I want you to choose an amount for your 2-month savings plan. Okay. I want you to be able to say like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to break it down and make it happen. Put it in front of you so that way it is there and you're focused on it. And there will be the savings. And when you achieve that goal, like please send me an email or tag me on Instagram so I can celebrate with you. And remember that if you also want support in the savings plan, if you want additional like actionable steps to continue to improve your finances, then book the Organize Your Money Honey intensive with me. And our next couple episodes are when to use money affirmations so they actually work. I'm very excited to talk about this episode. And we're also going to get some financial boundary talks in there as well. And now, if you are still hanging around, love you, mucho. And I just wanted to give like some like amazing personal updates. So things have been moving. There's been a good amount of speaking opportunities. This past weekend, I finished like my last one for the next couple months, and I've done like, I think I need to count it, but I feel like it's been like 6 or so over the last 2 months. I've been like speaking every weekend, which has been very fun and very exciting. And I know that's a reason why some of y'all are listening to the podcast. And I'm so excited to have you here and to have had the opportunity to connect with you. There's been like I'm a finalist for something, and I can't wait to tell you more about what that is later. And, just like finishing my fellowship and like being in the space where I can see the growth and value and impact in my work, and in, sparking conversations about money has just been amazing. We finished our, second or third, I think it's the second Rich Bish Brunch of 2025. And I had the best time. We were talking about, cultural impacts around money. We were talking about money mindset shifts. We were talking about like financial goals and even challenges that we experience. And everybody was just so open and honest. And I'm so excited for more of those spaces. And it's just been a beautiful thing. And so as I get ready for the Rich Bish retreat in June, like I'm just filled with gratitude. Like this year has been very exciting and things are moving very fast and in the best way. I think there's growth that comes with that. And there's also that like level of excitement too. There's the challenges of growing that I don't know if we always talk about where, as things start to move fast, you got to keep up, right? Like you got to put the people in place and, refine your own systems, as an entrepreneur. And so that is something that I am deep in learning about, in this season, really being able to hold what I've prayed for. And I think that it's been awesome. And, I ended with saying like the podcast is officially 6 months old, and that is exciting. And I've really enjoyed this journey with you all and hearing your feedback and hearing the different changes that you've made with your finances. Don't stop DMing me to let me know all the great things you're doing. Don't stop tagging me so I can celebrate with you. Like I really enjoyed this journey and being back in, the podcast atmosphere. So those are my little personal anecdotes for this episode. Just, really enjoying this season. So with that, I will catch y'all in the next episode. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Financial Confidence for High Achieving Women podcast. I hope the insights shared in this episode have inspired you to take one small action step toward a more empowered relationship with money. If you're ready to take control of your finances like the rich bitch you are, I invite you to book a 90-minute Organize Your Money Honey intensive with me. You'll walk away with a crystal clear financial plan, a budget you'll actually stick to, and actionable steps to start saving and investing faster. Head to the link in the show notes to book your spot. I'm so grateful to be part of your financial journey, and I can't wait to see all the incredible moves you'll make. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode.